After training hundreds of B2B sales teams over the last decade, I've discovered that successful prospecting isn't about activity volume, it's about systematic execution. If you're a VP of sales or CRO, you probably had that moment lying awake at 2 a.m. wondering, why is my team grinding this hard with nothing to show for it? Why can't we get consistent pipeline? And look, it's not about making more dials, it's not about sending more emails, and it's definitely not about buying more tools or hiring more reps. It's about implementing the right system. That's why in this video, I'm revealing the exact social selling system we deploy with sales teams that we work with to fix this. And it's the opposite of what most leaders are doing. And I believe social selling is the true unlock here, because when it's done right, it makes your cold calls, your emails, your entire outbound motion work better. And the teams winning right now, they're not just grinding harder, they're being more strategic. They have a system that earns buyer attention instead of burning it, especially in this crazy market. And so by the end of this video, you'll know exactly why your current motion maybe isn't working and how to fix it, because that's exactly what we're here for. So overall, let's dive a little bit deeper into the problem. So as of today, teams are working really hard. Like we said, activity metrics are up, everything's looking fine, but it's not converting into quality pipeline. And the belief is that you should push for more. Hey, we need more activity. We need more things happening. We need more things occurring. And that more random activity is just gonna look not great because it's not leading to the pipeline you're looking for. And so ultimately, it's even worse because we're in the age of AI. So there's more AI automated emails than ever before. There's more AI messages that are happening on LinkedIn, and the buyers are getting bombarded. You watching this video right now, you're probably getting bombarded with the LinkedIn DM right now as you watch this video, and you're like, man, this is getting really annoying. And it smells lazy and it's templated. So now, instead of just saying, hey, let's do more, we need to focus on making sales more human in the AI world so that we can connect with buyers and they compliment us on our outreach. And they say, wow, that was a really good touch point. I want to know more. So ultimately, we want to be able to have multiple channels that we reach out to people on. Social selling is the foundation and LinkedIn, but we want email and cold calling to complement that. So then this is where the shift comes into play, right? Because AI promised to solve this problem with the volume and more relevant messaging, reps are saying more messaging, but it's infinitely getting worse. So now I believe that we're having a shift back to human-based activities, back to the fundamentals of how sales works and how to truly connect with people instead of treating them like a number. Everyone right now in your inbox, you could look at it and be like, how many emails you get a week? Probably 50 to 100. And then if I asked you in the last 6 months, how many felt like they were written by a human? Probably next to none. And that's the real problem. I believe that social selling is not about just LinkedIn. It's about being social and human to the people you're talking to. And every single message that you write, you need to assume that it's pure gold and not just another thing you throw out there. Like, no, this is pure gold that I'm writing. So it's more about, let's not do 1,000 touches. It's, are we reaching out to the right people at the right time so we can convert those opportunities? Buyers want to speak to other humans. They don't want to talk to AI. They don't want to do that. They want to connect. So the truth is that I believe that social selling and LinkedIn is the way to solve that. The most powerful platform right now for B2B is LinkedIn to get in front of your buyers. I know sometimes it can be crazy. Sometimes you're like, what is LinkedIn doing? But this is the best place to reach out to your buyers, to connect with people and to message them, as long as you remain human. Because the belief is that LinkedIn doesn't work. Well, LinkedIn doesn't work if you don't have a system, right? If you're just showing up with no research and just trying to figure things out and be like, oh, let me connect and pitch and do all this stuff, it's not gonna work. You're actually gonna insult the buyer. And this happens every single day. Again, it's happening to you. So ultimately, at the end of the day, throughout my decade of experience in outbound and seeing that now we're having more automated emails come to us, we're getting bombarded by everything that's going on. We all have to change, and we have to focus on a system rather than random tactics. So that's why I came up with the AMP 5C social selling system. And the 5 C's stands for 5 different things that start with C. So it's clarity, connect, conversation, or comment, and content. So while everyone's blasting everything, getting louder and louder, I focus on how do we actually get very clear in the messaging that we have to start the right conversations with the buyer, and then how do we have air cover essentially from the content and the comments that we make. So let's first start off with clarity. And the thing you need to know is your team needs to know exactly who to prospect and why do they care. One of the things that I see when I work with a lot of organizations is there is no system for understanding how to reach out to the certain people. Most companies are like, hey, we reach out to the VP of marketing, but don't tell the reps exactly why you reach out to the VP of marketing. especially if you have new SDRs coming in. They have no idea why why you're talking to the VP of marketing, right? It makes no sense at all, right? You're going to be like, well, I don't quite understand what I would even be looking to articulate there at the end of the day. Same thing even for reps that are looking to sell for the first time as AEs. They may not know exactly why they're reaching out to a persona. So one of the things I believe in is just a tactical thing for all sales leaders watching this video is you should walk your team through, this is why people buy our product. These are why these personas care about our product. And also talk about in the industry why it's relevant. So when I would onboard, the story time, when I would onboard my SDR team, we wouldn't get on the phones immediately. We wouldn't talk about how to write an email because we'll get to that. But we need to know, you need to know why you're here and why you're talking to these people. So I'd break down, hey, here's the industry. This is why our product and solution is important to the people that we talk to. Here also as well, this is the reasons why we reach out to the CMO or the VP of marketing. And this is why they buy our solution. They need to internalize that and they need to know that. Because if they don't know that, they're not going to have clarity at the end of the day. So it's very, very important that you have a system where you onboard people to let them know exactly who they're targeting. And so now when they go into these tools, they can do things the right way. So let's give you another tactical example on how I think about clarity, right? So instead of your reps looking at you with a blank stare being like, I don't know what our buyer personas are, you need to give them that breakdown I just gave. Now, the next thing that we can do is be more proactive in the way that we reach out to people, right? Within Sales Navigator. So like I said, everything revolves around a system. The system is how you're successful. You never blame the reps for it being wrong. Always blame the system first. Then we can blame the reps if they're not executing on the system. So within clarity, we're trying to find what are the right buyer personas we're going to go after. And in my favorite tool, LinkedIn Sales Navigator. So within LinkedIn Sales Navigator, and I've worked with a lot of clients on this, and LinkedIn themselves brings me in to educate their community on Sales Nav, just for context of where I'm coming from. There are a lot of filters you can take advantage of. There are 3 filters that I think that you should take advantage of going into this year is less than 1 year at the company. Change jobs is great if you know the person, but it's better if it's less than 1 year at the company. The reason for that is because if we look at an opportunity and they're less than 1 year at the overall company, we know at the end of the day that that person is typically looking to make change. We like to look at the sweet spot window, which is 4 to 10 months. That means they've at least had a quarter to understand the business. And now you can actually sell them and articulate what you're looking to offer them across the board. That to me is a great way to stand out and get in front of the right people, right? So that would be clarity on who we're reaching out to. Number 2 is who's posted on LinkedIn in the last 30 days. We want to find the buyer personas that are active on the LinkedIn platform, and that's a great way to stand out and reach out to them. And the third thing that we're going to look for is, are there buyers that used to work at a company that is currently a customer of ours, and now they've moved into a new company that could be a customer of ours? Again, that's clarity. We're now using a system to reach out to people because we know there's a higher chance of them responding. You want, again, like I said, you want your buyers to compliment you on being targeted and relevant. And we've seen this with the clients that I work with. You know, they're booking 5 to 6 extra meetings per month by leveraging these 3 Sales Now filters. And if you did this with your team, imagine how more meetings that you could book, right? So clarity nails down exactly who we need to go after and when. And when you do that within Sales Navigator with the right and tick signals, that's how you're going to be able to get in front of the right people, right? Understanding, hey, we got the VPs of sales who at Series B's companies and they're posting about this, or hey, we know we work really well with companies that just got their just hired a new VP of sales. When we come in, we can help them with X, Y, and Z. That's how granular you need to be with clarity, because otherwise everything else inherently doesn't really matter because you're not going to be able to do it, right? So again, notice what happens when you switch that. We didn't make the reps more talented, right? We didn't do anything crazy there. We just gave them clarity on exactly who to target and why with a different system that leads to different results, right? And so let's dive into a little bit more. Number 2 is connection. Now, I believe that we're missing that in today's world, just the human connection. But that's part of what I'm talking about, but that's not fully. In the sea of connection, the whole focus here is you want to turn your reps and sales organizations profiles into demand engines instead of a resume. LinkedIn is the first impression that most people have when you reach out. According to LinkedIn, 67% of people view your profile before they decide to take a meeting with you. So if your profile looks skeptical, or just looks like a resume, or hasn't been updated in a while, it looks a little dusty, you ain't gonna get no meetings, right? So what I keep seeing, and I'm sick of seeing this, can y'all please, leader, sales leader, please, Do one thing for me, please. Look at these headlines of these LinkedIn profiles of your reps. And if it says SDR at whatever XYZ company you're at, remove this. Because think about it. You as a buyer watching this video are not waking up in the morning being like, hey, you know what, today I'm going to reach out to some SDRs. That's not happening. You are not doing that. So this needs to stop completely. This is absolutely ridiculous. And you need to change it to a clear headline that talks about buyer outcomes. The example of that could be transforming your marketing with more proactive ads. I just made that up. But the whole thing is you want to have targeted outreach or targeted headlines towards people that actually speak to the buyer's pain points. So fix that for reps so that they can increase their connection requests. Now, this is where it gets controversial. I believe that your connection request should be blank because it increases your acceptance rates. And you have 200 requests you can send per week. So I tell people, hey, like, if you're going to do that, make sure you send at least 25, 30 connection requests per day to make sure you're connected with more people, because the more mutual connections that you have with people, the better, right? You see what we're doing here. Not only can we have more opportunities to message people on LinkedIn, we're going to have more opportunities to message other people on other outbound channels. If you have a really great profile and you have a really great headline and you're sending connection requests that get acceptance rates, ultimately at the end of the day, it's going to signal to buyers that you are a good person to connect with because you're going to have more mutual connections in the network. We call that the web effect. Right? So now that we have more people that have accepted us, now the next phase of this is starting a conversation. So look, everything's about a framework. If I give someone who is a B rep a really great framework, they can become an A rep. But it's hard for a B or C rep to increase if they don't have a good framework, right? So there's some messaging I see out here where it's just like, hey, I love to pick your brain. Like, I think we have some synergies. That's not a conversation. That's just straight noise. No context, no value, nobody cares, right? Buyers tune that out. However, we don't want buyers to see that we're just putting them on a list. We don't want to insult them. We want to show that we're being relevant towards them. So what I recommend people to do is you have 3 different ways to reach out to someone in a conversation, right? When you're on LinkedIn or any outbound. 1, we're inviting them to something, an event or a webinar. We're giving them something, which is an asset, an assessment, or whatever it is. Or 3, we found enough relevant points to invite them to a meeting, right? We made an observation is what we call it. The observation framework is what we call it. And an observation could be something you saw in the company, something you saw on the person or the persona or whatever it is, right? We're trying to find those things, but the whole thing at the end of the day is we want to make an observation to reach out to somebody. And so ultimately, if we looked at sales leaders tactically, you can send LinkedIn videos to people, you can send messages that spark a question, you can do voice notes. These are things that strategically you can start doing to break through the noise. And again, notice what I've been saying from the beginning. We want to focus on being human as possible. So I tell people, look, you should be sending as many videos as possible to these individuals. But my whole entire framework here is make an observation on somebody, tell them what that pain point relates to, tell them what your value prop is, and then now you have a call to action. It's not that the sales reps are bad at what they do. They just have never been given a framework on what to say. So when you give them structure, you tell them, hey, observe something in the market on their company or something that they posted or about the actual buyer persona. They actually sound like a human that people want to talk to. So again, this isn't about, hey, we got to do all these things to reps. No, it's giving them a system that they can work so they can start the right conversations by inviting people to something, booking a meeting, or sending them an assessment. Right? Super clear. Now that we got the meetings going, this is where you provide air cover. So this is where comment comes into play. Now, most people are like, hey, I don't have time for my reps to comment. Well, the thing is that what we want to do here is very straightforward and very simple. All we want when we think about commenting is 15 to 20 minutes a day. Pick 5 to 10 people that are in your ideal customer profile and leave a comment on their post. What that does is it not only notifies that person, but it notifies all the other people in that network that you exist. That's all we're looking to do. We're warming up our LinkedIn DMs, we're warming up our cold calls, and warming up our cold emails. The fun thing about this, social selling amplifies everything else. And it's the most underrated play. It doesn't cost you anything. It's not anything crazy. 15, 20 minutes a day, 5 to 10 people. If you did the math, that compounds over time very, very quickly, right? You could leave 200 comments a month with just 15 to 20 minutes of your time that can increase more response rates. So that's like the thing at the end of the day that I would recommend highly for you to do and build those relationships intentionally. Now that we commented, the last thing I'll talk about is content. This is where people get really overwhelmed. Like, Morgan, I'm not trying to be an influencer. I don't want my reps to be posting. That's not their job. Look, I get it. I was an SDR posting and also at the same time booking meetings. So I'm going to tell you what to do. So when it comes to the comment side right here, or the content side is you want to be a curator, not a creator. And all that means at the end of the day is that when we think about creating content and when we work with people at Amp Social here, we tell people, hey, look, go find something that has already been validated, like a blog post or a white paper by someone else or your own company, and give your perspective on it. Hey, I read this blog post of CFOs and what they're looking to do in 2026. Here are 3 things I learned from it. Tag the author. Salute, see you later. That's all you need to do. If you did that once a week, it's 52 posts. Let's say you did it twice a month, that's around 30. So this isn't, or 20-ish, right? But this is all you need to ultimately do at the end of the day. Don't overcomplicate this part. Be a curator, and that's the way you're gonna stand out. And now you can turn your sales team into mini demand gen engines. And also as well, you don't need a lot of resources for this. It's just the workflow. Go find something, curate it, give your perspective, and now it's there. And ultimately, just a quick use case on how I've seen this work in the world through Amp Social. So one of the clients that we work with that reach out to people in the HR space, we saw that their outbound efforts was about 90% of their meetings came from email. After working with them, now they have an even split across the board where it's 40% LinkedIn, 40% cold calling, and 20% email. And the benefit and the reason for that is now they're seeing higher quality meetings and all their other channels are amplifying because they leaned into LinkedIn more. I'm not saying you're gonna get directly a lot of meetings from LinkedIn. That's a byproduct, but everything else elevates because now you are being social when you sell, because now all those things are gonna play a factor. So look, at the end of the day, that's exactly where we're going right now. It's following these 5 C's of clarity, connection, conversation, comment, and content. When you do all these together, you'll start seeing that your engine starts working, more people start coming to you, and the outbound's easier. Now, you can take everything I said right here and you can go execute on it. You don't inherently really need me. There's a lot of information here. You can go execute. However, if you're like, this is a lot and we do need some help, we have a program called Sales Team 6, where it's a 45-day program. We also can come on site as well and do this with you, where we teach you. We teach the reps exactly what to do in a small cohort group on how to do social selling and how it amplifies all your other outbound motions in your efforts to book more quality meetings in your target accounts. And also as well, get your team excited to do outbound in a world where there's a lot of AI, and we'll help your reps become more human in this world. But if not, you can take this information, go execute on it. This is what I believe social selling is, where we are currently at, and this is where we are going. So the faster your team learns it, the better for everything else. So my hope is you'll have happy prospecting. You can book all the meetings and the accounts that you want, and you can have a thriving business. Appreciate you listening in.